Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to the second session. I'm going to chant the two verses which we studied. Those of you who like, you can chant after me. I'll chant it part by part. So the 13th chapter is a little strange that way because there's some dispute about the number of verses. In the 13th chapter, the first verse is sometimes a question by Arjuna. What is field and the knower of the field, etc. And then Krishna gives the answer. So Krishna's answer starts with the second verse. Then what we did would be verse number 2 and 3. Sometimes Arjuna's question is omitted altogether. So the chapter starts with Krishna's teaching. So what we did would be verse number 1 and 2. There's a dispute about this. Some say that the question has been introduced to make the verses, to make the answers fit the questions. So suddenly Krishna starts talking about something, why the question has been introduced. But then it creates a problem with the number of verses. Gita is supposed to be 700 verses. This goes over that number. And this book, the edition I have, Swarupanandaji's translation, does a clever thing. It introduces the question by Arjuna but doesn't number it. So the numbering starts with 1, with Krishna's verse, Krishna's answer. Whatever it is, we'll start with Sri Krishna's answer. And you can repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, Kshetram Ityabhidhiyate, Kshetram Ityabhidhiyate, Etadyo Vettitam Praho, Etadyo Vettitam Praho, Kshetrajna iti tadvidah, Kshetrajna iti tadvidah, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, Sarva kshetreshu bharata, Kshetreshu bharata, Kshetra kshetra jayo jnanam, Kshetra kshetra jayor jnanam, Yattad jnanam matam mama, Yattad jnanam matam mama. So Krishna said, O son of Kunti, this body is called the field. And the one who experiences this body from within is called the knower of the field, by those who are experts in this matter, field and field knower. And then he goes on to say, know me, Krishna says, know me to be the knower of the field in all the fields. And this way of understanding field and field knower is called real knowledge. That's what Krishna says. The knowledge of field and the knower of the field is considered by me to be the knowledge. The knowledge means the knowledge which liberates, the knowledge of ultimate reality. Following on to a question which a lady asked in the earlier session, how would an Advaitin react to the worship of God? Now put it in this framework of field and field knower. This body is the field, and the one who knows this body from within, I, you, in each body, we are the knower of the field. This is one way of calling the Jivatma, the sentient being, just us, the regular person, as the knower of the field. And then we did an analysis. I am not the body, not the mind. I am the Drig, Drishya, seer and seen. I am the existence, consciousness, witnessing body and mind. We did that analysis. And we arrived at, I, the knower of the field, I am consciousness. I'm not a body. I'm not a mind. I am consciousness. We arrived at that. But suppose we don't do that. Suppose we stop at what Vedantins will call Vachyartha. That means the direct meaning, the straightforward meaning. No analysis, no in-depth, don't penetrate with an inquiry. Just take yourself as this person. Then what is Krishna? Is God to be worshipped. So the unanalyzed individual person, knower of the field, becomes the devotee of God. Then God remains as the object of devotion. And you can conceive variously, you can conceive of as an avatar like Rama or Krishna or say Ramakrishna, or you can conceive of God as the creator, preserver, destroyer of the universe, Shiva, Kali, Durga, Father in heaven, Jehovah, all as object of worship. This is how it remains. But if you analyze yourself and see that you are this witness consciousness, then we understand what Krishna means by I am the witness consciousness in all beings. Then we and Krishna become identical as the one consciousness. Don't analyze yourself. God also stands unanalyzed as the God of the universe. You stand unanalyzed as this individual being. Analyze yourself. What you will find God is identical to that. This is one way of answering the question. The Vedantic teaching, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. Tvam means you, the knower of the field, this individual being. Tat means God. Now, if you don't take the teaching, you are that, just take you and that, then what's the relationship between you and that? You are this little puny creature. God is the almighty preserver, creator of the universe. So the only relationship between us and God would be one of belief and faith and devotion and worship and surrender. And that's perfectly valid. That's the dualistic religion. But if you analyze yourself and see what am I really, then you find what God is also really. And then you find an identity. And that identity, the beauty of it is, the dualistic approach is based on faith, acceptance of that, the teachings. This identity which we realize is based on experience. Because we are analyzing what? Our own experience. We are analyzing ourselves. And we are always available to ourselves for experience. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Now, next. So what? So what? One Swamiji, I think he was Swami Dayananda Saraswati, who founded the Ashravidya Gurukul. He put it very nicely. What good is Vedanta? What good is Vedanta? What does it do for you? He says it enables you to move from what to so what. What means our reaction to problems in life. So many problems are there, and knocks and blows and tragedies in life, minor and great. And our reaction to all of them is what? It could be lack of a parking space. What? Or it could be illness, death, something very serious. What? War, what? And Vedanta enables us to go from that to really, not just indifferent or not caring, to seriously saying, so what? It's all right. And then you deal with it. It's not that you don't deal with it, you deal with it, but you have gone to a position of from what to so what, if Vedanta works. But if it doesn't work, then we again have another kind of so what. That, oh, I've heard of all of this. Then the next set of questions which come up are something like this. A whole set of questions comes up. One set of questions might come up this way. Okay, I heard you out and I thought about it and I think I get it. It's a nice philosophy. But what do I do next? That's one question which comes up. Or, I understand what you're saying, but it's very difficult to practice in life. Or, I get it, but the moment I go out of this hall, it goes away. Or, I get it intellectually, but not really. This gap between intellectually and really. So all of these questions are there. And why do these questions come? Why can't I live this life as the witness consciousness? Why can't I have this clear experience of myself as the oneness of all existence? What's happening here? It's a failure to manifest this divinity. Remember, we had Vedanta 2 parts, knowing the divinity within. I am the divinity within, this witness consciousness. And yes, this witness consciousness is also the consciousness in all beings. It is none other than Brahman. This is the divinity. And then the oneness of all existence, that it is Brahman, the entire universe is one with me. All right, this is one side of it. But the other side, remember, manifestation of this, living it, the ethical manifestation. When I said paradigm shift, now I'm having a paradigm shift. Earlier, I thought I was this guy. Now I think I am the witness consciousness. I am the knower of the field. I am Atman. I am Brahman. I understand it. Maybe I think it's real also. But I can't manifest it in my life. People will say, no matter all that Vedanta is all wasted, you're still the same dude. You're the same old guy. We don't see any change in you. Where are the results? So, unable to manifest it in, Swami Vivekananda said, my mission in life can be put in a few words. It is to teach unto humanity their inner divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. Focus on the second half of it. To teach unto humanity their inner divinity. This is what we talked about just now. Glorious teaching, amazing, stunning insight. This is the teaching of the Upanishads, age old, 5,000 years. But how to make it manifest in every movement of life? That should happen, right? But it is not happening. Why not? And what do we need to do about it? Next part will be about that. What happens is this. Think of this separation of the field and the field knower, the self and the not self, Atma, Anatma, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Prakriti, Purusha, Chetana, Jada, consciousness and the insentient. Think of this as an operation. Why an operation? Because we have embraced the body mind so much, this separation in our own understanding. The operation is not physical, don't worry. Nobody's going to come out after you with a scalpel or something. But the separation is in our own understanding. We begin to see it. To know the separation between my shirt and my body, I don't need to throw away the shirt. I just need to know that it's not my body. So this separation is like an operation performed internally in our understanding, in our conception of ourselves as I am awareness. Not awareness plus mind plus body. I am the whole package. No, I am awareness itself. And in me, the body mind appear as vehicles or instruments. Mind is an instrument, the body is like a vehicle. The old chariot analogy in the Kathopanishad, for example, so on. Now, this operation, one monk put it beautifully. What is the problem? Sometimes the operation is not successful. Why not? So this monk who was teaching Vedanta, he said that he had high diabetes and he was scheduled for an operation in his old age. And the doctor told him, Swami, we have to get the diabetes under control before we operate. And he was, and why? Because if we operate with the diabetes, it can lead to serious health complications. It will not work. You will not be restored to health. You will become sicker. And then Swami was very excited about this. He said, immediately applying it to Vedanta, he said, this is what is happening. First, before performing the operation, we need to get the diabetes under control. Before we do the Kshetra and Kshetragya, field and knower of the field operation, self and not self, before we do this analytical operation, we need to get the diabetes under control. What is the diabetes? The various impurities, conditionings, the vasanas, the desires, the negativity stuffed into the mind, which are making the mind, the personality unhealthy. You operate on such an unhealthy personality, the result will be worse. The result will be dangerous, can be harmful. What is the danger? I am Brahman, I am Atman, therefore I can do anything. I'm pure consciousness. There's nothing else apart from it. So, for example, one sign of this sickness is the world is false. There was one monk who used to tell lies. And then Sri Ramakrishna asked him that you talk about so much about Brahman, Atman, why do you tell lies? The monk said, look, I'll explain it to you. The whole world is a lie. It's a mithya, it's an appearance. Why are you catching only my lie? Sri Ramakrishna was not at all impressed by this kind of Vedanta. Another similar example, the monk was doing something immoral. And Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. He said, the monk replied, look, I'll explain it to you. A broom, though it is dirty, is enough to clean the courtyard, or you can clean up a place with a broom, though the broom itself is dirty. These are not good examples. Or this person who says, I am Atman, I am Brahman, I am pure consciousness, but has a whole list of complaints, grumbling. If you claim yourself to be enlightened, you lose all the right to grumble. Be careful before you claim you're an enlightened person should not grumble about anything at all. Should be perfectly all right with everything. After all, everything is one limitless consciousness. What we call good and bad, we grumble because we have a very clear sense of what we like and what we don't like. In Sanskrit, raga dvesha, strong likes and dislikes. If what we dislike comes before us, we grumble. If what we like we can't get, we grumble. But the enlightened person should be above likes and dislikes. They're all appearances in one consciousness. Why grumble? If it's all like a movie or a dream, what is there to grumble about? You can say, this was not good, that was beautiful, but both are appearances. I'm fine with both. Why grumble? So, a grumbling non-dualist is not very inspiring. So, why do these problems come? Vidyaranya Swami, who wrote this text called Panchadashi, 15 chapters on Vedanta. Fine English translation was done by Swami Sarvapriyananda, who was founder and the inception of this center, Swami Sarvapriyananda. His Panchadashi is available here, you can see. So that's a classic on non-dual Vedanta, 15 chapters on Advaita Vedanta. He lived around 600 years ago in the south of India, in what's called the Vijayanagar kingdom. So he showed very powerfully with arguments and experience, such a clear exposition of non-dual Vedanta. If you read it, you'll feel enlightened if you read it also. Then he was surrounded by his disciples who said, well, thank you, we have realized we are Brahman, now we can do anything. They were up to all sorts of mischief. This is a story. Story goes like this. Then Vidyaranya Swami thought, I have handing a gun to a child. They're going to misuse it. So he wrote another text called Jivan Mukti Viveka, an inquiry into living free, freedom by living. That's the goal of Vedanta. Right here, right now, one must experience that I am Brahman in this, with this body, mind, and word, here itself. Not just in Samadhi, not after death. Right now. Freedom by living. Krishna also, in the second chapter, Arjuna asks him, what are the characteristics of those whose realization is stabilized? Look at the interesting terminology. Not enlightened person, not Jivan Mukta, free while living. Sthita Prajna. Prajna means the wise one, the enlightened one. Wisdom. Sthita means the one whose wisdom has been stabilized. No longer this question of, I get it, but I can't live it. Or I got it, but I forgot it. No, it's stabilized wisdom. What are the characteristics? That's the sign of the truly enlightened person. Full-blown enlightenment here. So an inquiry into the conditions of liberation while living in this body and mind. And there, drawing upon more ancient sources, especially Yoga Vasishta, Vidyaranya Swami, he says, enlightenment, freedom while living, has three components. Three components. One of which is what you get through Advaita Vedanta. Through this discussion in the 15 chapters on Panchadashi, 15 chapters on Vedanta, or what Sri Krishna just said, the field and the knower of the field. You are the knower of the field, you are pure consciousness, and there is only one pure consciousness in all the fields. That is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi, done. But that's just one component, Vidyaranya Swami says. There are two other components. One is called Vasanakshaya, purification of the mind. Literally, it means erosion, destruction of desires, of vasanas, of impurities contaminating the mind. The mind is the field, no doubt about it. Like minefield, mind, not mind, minefield, full of minds. But the mind is the field, there's no doubt about it. Someone may ask the question, why bother about purifying the mind? Because you are, after all, stepping away from the mind. The mind is the field. You are the witness consciousness. You are pure as witness consciousness. Why are you so bothered about cleaning up the weeds in the field? Let it be there. What's your problem? You are not it anyway. The whole point is the operation. Separate, see yourself as the witness. And in yourself, no problem. Problem may be there, and you can deal with it. But why is it necessary for you to be enlightened to first weed the field, purify the mind? Why? this question is raised. One sadhu said, छोड़ तो दोगे, छोड़ने से पहले साफ करके जाओ. You're going to leave it behind, the mind, your life. But before you leave it, don't leave it in a mess. You will clean it up before you leave it. You're the witness consciousness. After the operation, you will see I'm the witness consciousness. It's not me. But before doing that, clean it up. Don't leave a mess behind. Suppose I say, let me leave a mess behind. What is it? I'm going to leave it behind anyway. Not my problem. What will happen then is this. Impurity of mind, if we leave it, strong desires, negativities, hatreds, prejudices, these likes and dislikes, powerful likes. See, likes and dislikes itself is a delusion. If all is Brahman, where does likes and dislikes come from? It can only be the conditioning of a particular mind. So there should not be any deep like. There can be preferences. You may prefer tea and not coffee. That does not prevent your Brahma Jnana. Sri Ramakrishna, fully enlightened, but he liked the Indian sweet jalebi. Swami Vivekananda, fully enlightened, his preference of sweet was ice cream, not jalebi. Now, he was a city boy, brought up in Calcutta, late 19th century. Sri Ramakrishna was a village boy, brought up in the remote village of Kamarpukur. After enlightenment, if they have the same realization, do they need to prefer the same sweet or no sweet at all? No. That doesn't make sense. Whatever mindset you go into it, when you realize the same setup remains the same. Body remains the same. Mind will also remain the same. So why do we need to purify the mind before enlightenment? If we do not clean it up, it's like that high diabetes. If you perform the operation, the result will be a sick person. If you do not clean it up, the operation will not be successful. First of all, the body, mind won't let you go. The field will catch on to you, won't let you go. What happens is like this. Now I'm talking about the witness consciousness, but now I'm talking about not Vedanta witness, legal witness. In the court, there's a witness. What is the witness supposed to do? The witness is supposed to give impartial evidence. What did you see or what do you know? You tell us, to the judge and the jury upon questioning. But sometimes this witness is affected, biased, partial, maybe tempted by money or bribery, or maybe has a relative on the opposite side, has some kind of emotional leaning towards that side. Or the witness may be scared. Somebody may have threatened, I will shoot you if you give evidence against me. So the witness now no longer is an impartial witness. It sways to one side, does not give impartial evidence. Same thing happens with the witness consciousness. A strong desire arises in the mind. Now, what I should say is, I am the witness of this movement in the mind. The desire is that it is nothing to be. I am the same light. I was there before the desire. I am here right now, and I'll be there after that desire passes away. And the desire is not even in me. It's in this instrument called the mind. Therefore, with that knowledge, this knowledge is also in the mind. With that knowledge, you will be able to restrain the mind. You will not go forward with that desire. But I get swept aside. Yes, I'm the witness consciousness, but I like rasgulla, so let me have this rasgulla. Even if my doctor has told me diabetes, you can't have rasgullas. What has happened? The strong desire in the mind, preference for that, has now captured the witness, pure consciousness, no longer pure consciousness. The pure consciousness is now has a layer of the mind over it and acts according to the mind. I want it, not I am the witness of it. I am not the witness of the desire. I desire it. I desire it. And what the ordinary person unknowingly does, this person is, there's this word in Hindi, there's no English equivalent, Gyan Papi, knowingly commits a sin, knowingly commits an error. I know it. I'm the witness consciousness. I am being overwhelmed by this. It could be a desire, it could be anger, rage, whatever comes, I'm swept aside. Now I am not only the witness of the field, the knower of the field, I am the knower of the field. A little bit of the field is upon me also. I'm a very dirty knower of the field, muddy knower. The field has come on me now. This happens if I do not clean up the mind. The witness no longer, like it becomes that a biased legal witness gets swept away. So cleaning up the mind, vasana kshaya, purification of the mind, rising above these desires, a set of disciplines is necessary. This is one component. The other component is called manonasha. Literally means destruction of the mind, but basically what it means is the mind and the senses should be entirely under my control. I should not be under their control. The senses, the mind, and the intellect are my servants, are my instruments, but I have become their servant. I have, alas, an ancient Sanskrit saying goes, ahaha, ahaha, dasasya dasa, dasi krito aham. This is kinkarasya kinkarei kinkari krito aham. Alas, by the servant of my servants, I've been made a servant. I, the pure consciousness, am the witness of the intellect and witness of the mind and of the senses. The senses are the five senses are the servant of the mind. The mind is the servant of the intellect. The intellect is my servant. But now I have become a servant of the senses. What the senses say, that's a nice cookie, eat it, go and eat it. That's a nice thing to see there, and go and see that. So I'm being taken on a merry-go-round by the senses. This is what has happened. And for this, practices are necessary. See, the manonasha is the ability to bring the senses, like flipping a switch. Eyes will not see, ears will not hear, tongue will not taste. Once they tested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, the great teacher of Vaishnava Vedanta, so about his self-control, they put sugar on his tongue, and the sugar flew away in the wind. It was so dry. Even the tongue did not secrete any saliva to even taste that sugar. Such was the control over the senses and the mind and the intellect. They are instruments. It should be easy. They're instruments. Why should they exert any influence upon me? But no. Dirty mind exerts influence upon me. It's very difficult to perform the operation. Perform the operation, the result is a sick person, a spiritual sickness. With all knowledge, I still am committing the same errors which I was doing earlier before all this knowledge. And I'm not getting the benefit from it. I'm not getting the benefit of freedom and peace and happiness, because knowledge is there, compartmentalized. My life goes on in another track. This problem has to be overcome. For this, Sri Krishna, now he goes on in verse number 7 onwards. 7, 8, and 9 and 10 and 11. From verse 7 to 11, 20 practices are given. 20 practices. For what? For this purification of the mind. Before you can perform, to make the operation between field and field knower successful operation, to leave you as the witness consciousness. The state of the health of the body, of the mind here should be like this. 20 practices. We have to attend to them carefully. Otherwise, I will show you how we do that. Otherwise, if you look at the practices by themselves, basically what he's saying is be a good boy, be a good girl. So we know that from kindergarten. Our parents have told us, our teachers have told us. Why does Krishna have to tell us that? What is the connection with non-dual realization? That old story, I like it very much. One person went to learn meditation from the yoga teacher. And, in Patanjali Yoga, meditation has these 8 components. There is yama, niyama, the moral principles, do's and don'ts, ethical principles. Then asana, how to sit. Then pranayama, control of the breath. Then the withdrawal of the senses. What is it called? Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses from their object. Pratyahara. And then you start focusing. Dharana. Then that focus deepens into meditation, dhyana. That is meditation. 7th of 8 limbs of yoga, meditation. And then that meditation deepens into automatical. There no more effort is required. Samadhi, the deep absorption. So 8 limbs of yoga. And this man goes and says, Swami, please teach me meditation. And the Swami starts teaching. You must tell the truth. You must practice self-control, satya, ahimsa, non-violence, also, brahmacharya, all of these you must practice. This man doesn't like it. He says, all those things I know. Be a good boy. And he says, okay, you please go ahead. Teach me, how to sit and how to breathe and how to concentrate, dharana, dhyana, pranayama. Then the Swami says, I'll tell you in Hindi, it works nicely in Hindi and translate then. He says, Ashtanga Yoga सीखोगे या विकलांग योग सीखोगे? Are you going to learn 8-limbed yoga or the handicapped yoga with 2 limbs missing? The first 2 limbs you want to cut aside. You don't like the ethics part of it. The mind doesn't like the ethics part of it. Mind is the glamour of I'm meditating, I'm in deep meditation, I breathe this way, that way, and I focus this way. All those are nice. But tell the truth, be self-controlled, don't be violent. Very difficult. It will not work if I skip those steps and go ahead. And that sadhu said, there's a problem of corruption, where in India the term is black money. Black money is the money which you don't report to the IRS, and you don't pay your taxes on that. So the sadhu said, black money par asan bitha ke dhyan karoge, dhyan hoga. You stuff all your, in those simpler days, they would actually hide money in that. Nowadays, it's all more sophisticated. You're going to hide your cash under the bed and sit up with a meditation mat on top of that. You think you'll be able to meditate? You can't. So, first of all, these practices, before we go into either meditation or devotion. People think devotion is easy. It isn't. With a guilty mind, devotion isn't easy. In the Bible, Jesus says, when you offer something to the Lord, if you have a slightest grudge against your brother, some anger, hatred, the Lord says, you let it be, let the offering be there. You go and settle it with your brother. Then you come and offer, otherwise I will not take. Why? Now we understand it through Advaita. Krishna says, I am the consciousness in all the fields. So the one you hate is me. How can you? So the one you're offering to me, you're offering something to me, then your conception of me is not right. How can you hate me in one body and offer something to me in another? You cannot. Not only that, even deeper. That one and I is you. It's like hating yourself. It's so delusional. So Krishna gives these practices, which we will look at some of it. 20 practices. We won't have time to go through all of them, but we'll go through some of them now. We'll see how deeply they're connected to non-duality, to enlightenment. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. You can repeat after me if you like. Amanitvam adambhitvam, amanitvam adambhitvam, ahimsa kshanti rajyavam, ahimsa kshanti rajyavam, acharya upasanam shaucham, acharya upasanam shaucham, स्थैर्यम् आत्मा विनिग्रह, स्थैर्यम् आत्मा विनिग्रह, इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम्, अर्थेषु वैराग्यम्, अनहङ्कार एव च, अनहङ्कार एव च, जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि, जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि, दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम्, दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम्, असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्ग, असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्ग, पुत्रदार गृहादिषु, पुत्रदार गृहादिषु, नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम्, नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम्, इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु, इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु, मयि चानन्ययोगेन, मयि चानन्ययोगेन, भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी, भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी, विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्, विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्, अरतिर्जनसंसदि, अरतिर्जनसंसदि, अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्, अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्, तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्, तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्, एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम्, एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम्, अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा, अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा, I'll just read out Swarupanji's translation. Humility, unpretentiousness, non-injury, forbearance, uprightness, service to the teacher, purity, steadiness, self-control, the renunciation of sense objects, and also absence of egoism, reflection on the evils of birth, death, old age, sickness, and pain, non attachment, non identification of self with son, wife, home, and the rest, and constant even mindedness in the occurrence of desirable and the undesirable, unswerving devotion to me by the yoga of non separation, resort to sequestered places, distaste for the society of men, constant application to spiritual knowledge, understanding the end of true knowledge. This is declared to be knowledge, and what is opposed to it is ignorance. These 20 are declared, etat jnanamiti proktam. These 20 are declared to be knowledge. We think knowledge is I am Brahman, this is knowledge. He says, no, by these indeed knowledge is gained. So, because by these knowledge is gained, in the instrumental sense, these 20 practices are declared to be knowledge. And then he says, the opposite of these is ignorance. When we clean up the field, what you get is these 20. Don't clean up the field. What are the weeds? What are the weeds in the field? The opposite. So, for example, the first verse which we just saw, amanitvam, humility. Opposite is pride. Adambhitvam, unpretentiousness. Opposite is showiness. Then ahimsa, opposite is himsa, violence. Kshanti, forgiveness. I'll never forgive you. That's opposite. Then Ajyavam, straightforwardness, crookedness. That's the opposite. Acharyopasanam, the reverence and service to the teacher, the opposite. You are just another guy, a guy like me. That's it. Who cares? That's the opposite of reverence for the teacher. Shaucham, cleanliness, body, mind, speech, unclean. Stairyam, steadiness. Opposite is restlessness. Atma vinigraha, check on oneself. Why should I check myself? I'll do whatever I please. So these tendencies, these are opposed to knowledge. So if I have these tendencies, if the field has those tendencies, it's no use trying to perform an operation to separate field and field knower. The field will grasp at the field knower. It will suck you back into the swamp. All right, let's take them up one by one. The first one, amanitvam. The Sanskrit word is amanitvam, which means humility, lack of arrogance or pride. Mana is this arrogance or pride. It can be of anything in our lives. It could be money. I'm rich. Why are so many rich and successful people? There's an American term is jerks. That is, based on my money, on my possessions, I have this inflated ego. So I consider myself superior to others. You guys are losers. I'm so much better than you. On what basis? On what basis? Because look at my bank balance. I have millions and millions of dollars. I'm so rich, or billions. So it's very insidious. It's very difficult to pull out of it. If you have it, it's there in you. See, the problem is this. Wealth, like any other possession, especially wealth, I think I have it. When I capture this, hold on to this, I think I'm holding on. But I'm also held on here. As long as I hold on to this, I can't go anywhere else. When I catch hold of wealth, wealth also catches hold of you. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of the man who saw the rug being swept away, in the river, in a flood. Many things were being swept away, and the people on the side, the villagers, were watching stuff being swept away. And he thought, oh, that's an expensive rug. I shouldn't let it go to waste. And so he runs ahead and catches hold of the rug. It turned out to be a bear which was being swept away. And when you catch hold of a bear, the bear hug catches hold of you. And people on the bank of the river were shouting, let it go, you'll be swept away, you'll be drowned, let go of the rug. And the man shouts back, I have let go of the rug doesn't let go of me. Many things, fame, wealth, these are like that. We run after them madly, and then we sometimes get them. And then we don't like it one bit. We want to let go, it won't let go. You can't let go. I know people who have literally net worth is in the billions, but they can't step away from it. They say that I don't really care about all this anymore. And genuinely they feel they don't care, but they can't step aside from it. They can't let it go. Another person says, I see the futility of it all. All my life, he said, I've been a player on the hedge funds in Wall Street, on Wall Street, and I made lots and lots of money. He's a very good man. But he says, I'm thinking about money all the time. It's impossible for me to stop. It's impossible for me to stop. I won't go any further. It's very funny. So you come to an ashram and bow down with great reverence. The first question, not Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness. Can you show me your financials? Why do you need to see that? I don't need to, but I can't help it. I must see the money. Only to help, but I must see the money first. So it becomes like that, difficult to let go. And based on that, mana, ego comes. I am better than you. But it can be on other things. Learning. I've read more books than you. I have more degrees than you. I've gone to an Ivy League college. I am a PhD. I am a double PhD. I am a Nobel Prize winner. Who are you? So based on knowledge, yes, I am greater than you. Based on power, or it could be just proximity. Some people shine by reflected light. I'm not super rich, but I know billionaires. I am not famous, but I know people who won Oscar awards, in Hollywood. In Hollywood, money is not so important. Glamour is important. In New York, glamour is not so important. Money is important. Proximity to money, proximity to celebrity status, proximity to power. I know the mayor. I know the vice president. I know the president. I know the governor. Or directly, I have power. And that's my greatness. The ego can be built up on anything. It could be just youth and strength, or good looks, or fame, or degrees, or property, or achievements. Nobody cares about achievements. I go on and on, say, what did I do? What did I say? Then that happened and this. No, they've heard it all many times from you. Nobody's interested. So ego is based on that. And that can come as a huge hindrance to that operation between field and field knower. I have grabbed hold of certain nice features of the field and I don't want to let go. Then it will not work to say, I am the witness of the field. Because I'm not. I've taken some of the field as I, me, myself. My achievements, my wealth, my knowledge, they're all in the field. My wealth is the outside, external, physical field. My knowledge is internal, my mental field. My talents are more at the level of the body and the senses. All of these are part of the field, not me. And if I feel glorified by that, I won't let go easily. So, amanitvam, step away, humility. These I have come by the grace of God. I resign unto God. I have nothing to do with it. My wealth, my fame, my power, all of them also are temporary. They come and go. They come and go. The old saying is there, in the palaces of the Caesars, now the spider spins its web. We read this poem, Ozymandias. Many of us had it in school. I think it was Eliot, Ozymandias, the statue found in the desert of a king, some mighty king. Nobody knows. The civilization is forgotten. Obviously, the king is forgotten. But the script says below the broken statue that look upon my works and you wonder and what works? It's a desert now. It's a ruin now. People have forgotten your civilization for thousands of years. You're the king. So it's all temporary. All of it is temporary. Our very life itself is temporary. And all this glory, if it is glory, is the glory of the field. The field belongs to God, not to me. So humility. Now, one word of warning here before we go deeper. Ego is necessary. Be careful before you let go, step away from the ego. Humble, soft, submissive, quiet. I have known many such people who harbored a great anger within. I was nice to you. Why were you not nice to me? I was nice. Why? Because I've defined myself as a nice person. So in difficult circumstances also, when other people took advantage of me, when I'm struggling at home, in the office, in my social circles, wherever it is, I don't stand up for myself. And I think I'm being a nice person. But notice, an anger burns within me. Slowly, resentment grows within me. I've seen it. leading almost to the level of mental illness. So this is not good. This is not spirituality. This is not even what is meant by this, by amanitvam. Who is this being said to? Krishna is saying it to a person who is fully self-actualized. He is a mighty warrior, Arjuna. To him, he is saying, be humble. Not otherwise. Sri Ramakrishna defined who is a human being. Play of words. He was good at punning. He was punny. So the words he used was, in Bengali, manhush. The Bengali word for human being is manush. Human means manush. The Bengali word in Sanskrit also, manush. But he splits it up. Sri Ramakrishna splits it up into two parts. Man, hush. Man means dignity. Hush means awareness. If you have awareness of your own dignity, then you are a human being. Spiritual dignity, certainly, that I am Atman or I am the child of God. But also social dignity, your dignity, psychological dignity, moral dignity, dignity as a human being. After that, spiritual dignity. Awareness of your dignity makes you a human being. Man hush. Swami Vivekananda goes further. The old religion said, he who did not believe in God is an atheist. The new religion says he who does not believe in himself is an atheist. So have tremendous confidence in yourself and a sense of your own dignity. Before you come into humility, those are actually higher practices. First of all, any person in the world, whether you are spiritual or not spiritual, starting from childhood, self-esteem, self-confidence, a sense of your own dignity, sense of your own worth, that is necessary. Without that, spirituality is difficult. Even humility cannot be done unless there is a mature ego which needs to be humble. Swami Vivekananda's definition of humility is very interesting. Humility does not consist in being a doormat. Humility means seeing the greatness in the other person. One American lady, she was a devotee of Swami Vivekananda. She said, I have met many great people in my life. I met the Kaiser or the Tsar of Russia, or the Kaiser, one of those European kings at that time. And when I met him, I felt how great he is, how insignificant I am. But when I met Swami Vivekananda, I felt how great he is and how great I am. See, Vivekananda had that power of evoking the great, of turning away around your own idea of yourself. That sense of the greatness of the other, that is true humility. Not feeling that I am nothing, I am worthless. People who often do that, I am nothing, I am worthless, I'm the lowest of the low, also have a sense of a kind of a perverse superiority and also anger at not being treated well by others. I am so humble and so nice. Of course, you must treat me. You must recognize my humility and treat me as I deserve to be treated. No, don't do that. Have a sense of, first of all, mature, straightforward. So a sense of one's own worth. Now, what is the problem with egotism and Vedanta? One theologian, a professor of religion, asked me, Vedanta, won't it lead to arrogance and pride? I am God. I am Brahman. Notice Vedanta, first of all, starts by deconstructing this I. This sense of pride and ego, it pushes into the field. You are the witness consciousness, and this witness consciousness, this immortal witness consciousness, you're exactly the same with everybody. There's no question of separation. So pride is not possible in Vedanta, but can it not lead to a sense of pride? I am Shiva, I am Aham Brahmasmi. No, it is just the opposite. One must start with humility. Why it will not lead? It's like this. See, ego, how does it function? This word amanitvam means no mana. The Sanskrit word mana. Now I'm going into not the etymological meaning of it. Etymological meaning is lack of pride or overcoming pride, overcoming mana. But what I am saying now is the Vedantic analysis of this is, it's quite a change of track. Mana has another meaning. Mana means to measure. In many Indian languages also, Bengali, Hindi, mana means to measure. Mana means to measure. And whatever is measurable is within Maya. Measurable means limited. Only the limited can be measured. How can you measure the unlimited? Only something that's limited. So much space. This hall has so much space. So much time. So much weight. So much cost. All are limited, not limitless. Even cost. Just now, I think one Russian court fined Google $20 decillion, more than the gross product, national product of all the nations in the total wealth in the world, many times more than that, the fine for Google. So there is limit to everything. Whatever is limited is mana, to measure. And whatever is measurable is within Maya. Amanitva means to go to the immeasurable. As long as we are, this is the Advaitic interpretation, non-dual interpretation. As long as we are stuck with the limited, my glory is in the limited, no matter how much money, how many degrees, how much political power I have, it's still mana, within, it's measurable. If you do that, you're immediately sacrificing your limitless nature. The moment I say my glory is because I have so much money, or my glory is because I have a PhD, or I've come from an Ivy League college, this is my glory. Immediately I've sacrificed my limitless nature as existence consciousness, please. I trap myself into mana, this much measurability. So amanitvam is directly connected to freedom. Brahman is amani, because it is not measurable. If you say you are Brahman, you are beyond measure. Therefore, do not try to limit yourself by taking pride. Why take pride in the measured, in the limited, when you can be the limitless? Why be a beggar when you can be a billionaire? So, this is amanitvam from a Advaitic perspective. Why amanitvam is important? We discussed the psychological, practical part of it, but the philosophical side of it is manitvam is limitation, measurability, maya. Maya itself means measurability. Ma means to measure also. Maya is, ultimate reality is immeasurable. Maya herself is beyond measure. But what it falls under the domain of Maya is measurable, is limited. It presents the immeasurable as the measurable. Let's put it this way. Swami Vivekananda said, the universe is the wreckage of the infinite on the shores of time, space, and causation. Wreckage of the infinite, the limitless, is appearing as the limited now through time, space, and causation. So that's the moment we attach ourselves to something in this appearance, we become mani. I am holding on to the limited. Next, Krishna says adambhitvam. Dambha, see, mana and dambha, these are Sanskrit words which are pretty close. How are they distinguished? Adambhitvam is often shown as, is translated as unpretentiousness. There's another word, ostentatious, to show off. What's the difference between mana and dambha? The earlier word mana, what's the difference? That one also seems like pride, arrogance. This also seems like showing off or pride. The difference is this. When I'm proud of something which is a fact, maybe I'm young and strong and beautiful, or I'm rich and wealthy, or I'm powerful or learned, is a fact. And I take pride in that. I become arrogant based on that. That is manitva, arrogance, pride. But when I take pride, I show myself to be what I am not. It's not a fact. When I try to appear more learned than I am, when I try to say that I know more people than I actually do, when I try to show myself as more wealthy than I actually am, my lifestyle is a big thing, especially magnified by social media. Look how cool my life is. It isn't actually, but I'm trying to show as much as possible, make a show of a brilliant, nice, what I think is a cool life. Nobody cares really. But I try to show, and I get pleasure from that. That is dambha. Showing oneself to be what one is not, in wealth, in power, in learning, in coolness. Teenagers are into that, trying to be more cool than thou. And showing oneself to be what one is not. And all those things are usually pretty useless stuff also. And taking pride in that, being proud about that. That is called dambha. That's one degree further than mana. Because mana at least has a basis on fact. Proud of what you have achieved or what you have got. This is based on falsity, what is not. This is, again, in Vedanta, you will see the Vedantic insight into this. How are we doing for time? Oh, okay, we are almost done. Vedantic insight into this is, what is the world? The world is a projection of Brahman as what it is not. Brahman itself appears as this world. What appears is not reality. Reality never appears. So Brahman doesn't appear as Brahman. And what appears is not Brahman. I mean, it's not in itself real. So this is a kind of dambha. Do you see the connection between showing oneself to be what one is not and the Advaitic idea of Brahman projected as this universe through Maya? It's basically the same principle. So if I take a delight in not being real and authentic, but I take a delight in showing myself to what I would like other people to think, and I project myself, even if I'm not like that. People overspend. Try to show a Manhattan, Upper West Side lifestyle. Can't afford it. No, but I still will. Because this is what I want people to think about me. This is dambha, not based on fact anymore. But the universe, the problem with the universe is exactly that. It's not appearing as Brahman to us. It's the limitless is appearing as the limited. The pure bliss is appearing to us as a mixture of pain and pleasure. Pure consciousness is appearing to us as a collection of objects. Sat, pure being, is appearing as Janma Mrityu, life and death. Chit, pure consciousness, is appearing as Jada, insentient objects. Ananda, limitless fulfillment, is appearing as pain and pleasure, an endless race to overcome pain and attain some kind of little bit of pleasure. So this is dambha. You see, these simple things, teachings, don't show off. It reaches so deep into non-dual philosophy. If in my life, if I take delight in showing off and projecting a social media personality, and I say in my philosophy, I'm looking for reality, the two don't go together. They don't go together. Then the next one is ahimsa, non-violence. How deep it goes. See, violence is, I am separate from you, and therefore I can be violent towards you. It's the exact opposite of non-duality. Hatred against others, resentment against others, even in the level of words or irritation in the mind, somewhere deep ignorance is there. We don't do that about ourselves. I feel one with the body. If one hand hits the other, I don't hate that hand or hate this hand. I don't take the side of this hand or that hand, because I am one with both of them. Similarly, I'm one with the entire universe, but I don't see myself as that. And therefore, I'm against this person, I'm for that person, I hate that one, I have rage against that one, all based on deep delusion, on the lack of knowledge of oneness. And therefore, hatred, violence is a deadly delusion, which will prevent non-dual realization, which is a great check to non-dual realization. You may have to deal skillfully with situations which arise, but that does not mean you will have violence in your heart deep inside towards the source of the problem. Knowing it to be one, like this hand hitting the other, but I can't be violent on this hand. I can't have feelings of violence. It's me. The classic example of the teeth biting the tongue. You don't have hatred for the teeth. You're just careful. There is this analysis which I like. 81 types of violence. The point, I'll get into the analysis, but the point I want to make here is, non-violence is one. Violence can be of many types. There are many ways of being violent, but non-violent is one. There are many ways of telling lies. Truth is one. A very nice quote. You can fall down in 100 ways, but you can stand up straight in only one way. You can be truth is one, lies are many. Non-violence is one, violence is many. Self-control is one, indulgence is many. These 5 virtues, this is a nice insight to take away. Ahimsa, non-violence. Satya, truth. Brahmacharya, self-control. Then aparigraha, non-acceptance of asteya, non-stealing. And aparigraha to the extent of non-accumulation. Basically, non-acceptance of gifts means non-accumulation, not being obliged to many people. Notice, Each of them, the opposites are of many types. Lies are of many types, but truth is one. Truth is the cessation, the shanti of mithya vritti. This is a very precise way of putting it. The vrittis in the mind which are based on falsehood, to quieten them is truth. The vrittis of indulgence, lust, 1,000 different ways. To quieten them, the peace, that is one. The shanti of the kama vritti is one. Kama vrittis are many. The vrittis in the mind about objects of lust are many, many, many. But to quieten them, the peace which we get by shutting it down, that peace is one. Then ahimsa. Violence can be many types. We'll see 81 types or many more. But non-violence is one. It is the peace of the violence vrittis, shanti. When you quieten down the vrittis of violence, the shanti, that's only one. Accumulation can be of 1,000 million types. There's an American term I learned, pack rat. Have you heard? Who stuff their houses with things and don't want to let go. It's a mental illness. Only when you see a poor man, homeless, dragging a cart or a basket full of rubbish, you say, oh, poor person. When you see a magnificent home stuffed with beautiful things from all over the world, same illness. Only more refined. One gentleman told me, I had accumulated 20, 30 years of things in my house, then there was a flood. And it all got washed away or destroyed or damaged. Then I realized how little of it I at all needed, even took a look at after accumulating it. Most of it is not necessary. So non-accumulation is the peace of the accumulation vritti. It is one. Stealing can be, dishonesty can be of hundreds of different types. But non-stealing is one, and it is the peace of the stealing vrittis. Oh, just since I mentioned it, 81 types of violence. This I got from Swami Ramsukdas ji's book, huge book, Sadhak Sanjeevani. It's a very practical interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita. So there he says, how many kinds of violence can you do? One is he says, by the mode of violence, body, mind, speech. So physically punching somebody, that's one kind. Saying a harsh, hurtful word to somebody, or having the flash of anger or irritation at somebody else. At the level of mind, at the level of speech, at the level of body. Kaya, mana, vakya. Kaya means body, mana means mind, vakya means. So 3 types of violence. Or another next level you can introduce is mild, medium, and intense. Mridumanda, ati. Now, each of those types of violence can have 3 types. You can have mild verbal violence, you can have medium kind of verbal violence, or intense verbal violence, hate speech. So if 3 into 3, how many types? 9 types. Then he says the source of this. Why are you violent? It could be anger, that's the first source. Anger, krodha. Or it could be lobha. I'm taking kama and lobha together. Kama is basically lust and lobha is greed. But they're both forms of desire. So desire is another source, kama or lobha. So that's the second source, desire. Anger is one source of violence. Desire is another source of violence. Third is moha, delusion. It could be ideology. I am, in America, it could be a Democrat, Republican, or ancient, or more, not ancient, just a few years ago, capitalist, communist. Or in India, it could be BJP, Congress, political sides. Or it could be a sports team. It could be a religion, our religion. My hatred is because I belong to this religion. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jewish. It's an ideology I've taken hold of. And that ideology is meant to take me higher, but I use it to serve violence. It makes me hate you because I belong to this ideology and you are outside this, you are my enemy. So moha, delusion. So 3 causes. Now you have got 9 again into 3, 3 into 3 into 3. Do you remember? So now how many do you have? 27. And then finally, the medium through which we express violence, kritakarita anumodita. I do violence directly, or I make somebody else do it. Order somebody to carry out violence, in state violence and all, dictators and all, and make other people violent. Or anumodita, I enable and support violence. All three are types of violence. How many do you have? 81. This is one analysis. You can keep on adding factors. But the basic idea, the takeaway from all of this is the virtues. One interesting way of looking at the virtues is all of them are of the nature of peace, shanti. Ahimsa is the shanti of the violence vritti, himsa vritti. Hundreds of himsa vrittis, if you silence them, it will become ahimsa and will become one. Peace is of one type only. Notice, disturbance can be of many types. Restlessness can be of many, many types. But peace, only one type. Genuine peace is only one. And then truth. Falsity is of many types, but the cessation and the pacification of the falsity vritti is truth. Only one type, and it is peace. Similarly with brahmacharya, similarly with asteya, similarly with aparigraha. All right, let us go into question answers. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Please queue up and you can ask your question. Tell us your name and ask the question. Tomorrow, we'll carry on with further analysis of these practices, 20 practices.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Namaste. Please tell us your name.
I'm Raju.
Yes.
If Chetana is taken as consciousness.
Yes.
So further, after the 2 verses in the 13th chapter, Kshetram, Chetana is also part of Kshetra. Like Mahabhutanya Hankaraha Buddhiravyaktamevacha. So Indriyani Dashaikam Panchachendriya Gocharaha Ichha Dvesham Sukham Dukkham Sanghatas Chetana. So should we take that as enlivening part of Kshetra, Chetana there?
Yes.
Chetana.
So the question is a good question. You divided everything into field and knower of the field. And then, Swami, you said by the knower of the field, you mean consciousness. But if you look at the text itself, Sri Krishna, when he talks about the field, he describes the field to Arjuna. And this is the field in the verses which he just mentioned, and the 4th or 5th verse and so on. And there he mentions consciousness. Chetana, the Sanskrit word is Chetana. Sentience. Sentience is part of the field he mentions. This is a question. Is it the knower of the field which is separate? Or is it part of the field? Is consciousness the knower of the field or is it part of the field? You just now all the discussion we had is consciousness is the knower of the field. But Krishna himself is saying consciousness is part of the field. What does that mean? Take the example of the face reflected in the mirror. Mirror. When you look at the mirror, I can see my face reflected in the mirror. It looks exactly like my face. But if I go there, the face is not there. If I touch it, what will I touch? Glass. Even what looks like my face is glass only. It's a reflection of my face in the glass. And what is that reflection made of? It's glass only. The real face is here, which is not an object. Similarly, pure consciousness, the limitless consciousness, Atman, which we are talking about, is like the original face. And this Chetana, which Sri Krishna talks about, is the consciousness which you find in the mind, reflected in the mind. Notice, the face there is actually not there. If the mirror is concave, the face will become very strange. The mirror becomes convex, the face becomes very strange. The face twists and turns in the mirror according to the nature of the mirror. It's actually the mirror. Similarly, when you say consciousness in the field, it's actually the field. It's the mind which borrows the properties or power or illumination of pure consciousness and acts as a luminous agency. It's like the sunlight reflected by the moon. At night, the moonlight functions like a luminous body. It illumines the earth. But all the time, the moonlight is the sunlight. Now, when I say among the properties, as kids we learned, luminous bodies in the sky, sun, moon, star. But later on, as we grew up, we learned, wait, the moon seems like a luminous body. You can call it a luminous body. It functions as a luminous body, but it's not a luminous body. The luminosity does not belong to the moon. It's borrowed from the sun. Similarly, I can say a part of the field. This is the field. The body is the field. The prana is the field. The mind is the field. And that mind clearly feels conscious. We all feel conscious right now. That's why in consciousness studies today, the great confusion exists. They don't separate pure consciousness from seeing, hearing, remembering, feeling. All of what is studied in consciousness studies is basically that field which Krishna calls Chetana. Yes. So straight answer to your question, what is called Chetana in the field is the reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa.
Namaste, Swamiji. And I'm absolutely delighted to see you in person outside YouTube today. Arnab.
Arnab.
Yeah. So my question, I'm very new to this topic, I'm learning. So my question may be a little primitive. So I'm trying to relate this knower and the field, right?
Yes.
With a timeline. Like, let's say I am the knower and I die tomorrow.
Yes.
What happens to the knower? And taking it a bit forward, like before humanity, let's say 200,000 years ago, there was no Homo sapiens.
Yes.
Where was the knower? And if everyone dies, then what is that? So I just want to understand what happens to the knower outside the horizon of time.
Right. Let's just take that now. The question is, all right, I am the knower, I'm aware of different things. But I was not there a few years ago. I was born, and I know that one day or the other, I will die. So what happens to the knower? What happens to this consciousness which is knowing things? And why wait to talk about birth and death? Every day when I fall asleep, deep sleep, I don't know anything. So where is that knower? All right. Now this already assumes the materialistic worldview. This goes back to a question which is Shumon here. Shumon asked a question. How does consciousness produce the objects? I didn't adequately answer that question because it's a very deep question of philosophy. What is as you said, what is the relationship, real relationship between the knower and the objective universe? In Vedanta, the objective universe is an appearance in the knower. It's not that with the birth of the body, the knower was born, according to Vedanta. It's not that with the death of the body, the knower will die. When I say when I die, what is a great deal of that phrase is doing a great deal of philosophical heavy lifting. When you say, and I die, it means I know the body will die, but I'm also saying I will die along with the body. I, the conscious being, will not be around anymore. I, the knower, will not be around anymore. Why would you say that? Because I have already assumed that the body is producing me. When the body was not there, I was not there. When the body was born and it developed, I emerged as a byproduct of the functioning of the brain and nervous system. So this is what is called materialistic reductionism. And Vedanta is just the opposite of this. To make this work, that what you say, to make it work, you would have to establish a causal link between brain functioning, nervous system and brain functioning and consciousness. And that is precisely the hard problem of consciousness today. David Chalmers, who invented the term, and it's a huge, huge issue in the world of consciousness studies. How is it that a physical system like the brain and nervous system, how is it like something which is physical, entirely physical? How can it produce the subject? And where is it producing the subject? Not how may be a theoretical question, but make a practical question. At which point is it producing the subject? Because the last thing that we can observe, the finest thing, the subtlest thing that we can observe in the brain and nervous system are electrochemical, very delicate electrochemical activities in the brain and nervous system, and in the axons, in the neurons in the brain. We can observe electrical potentials building up. We can observe discharges of electricity. We can observe the discharges of neurochemicals there. But what about seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, enjoying, suffering, remembering, desiring? We're looking at some physical correlates. But the subjective side of it, which you experience and I experience, what is the link between them? How is a tiny burst of electricity the smell of a flower? How is a tiny burst of electricity a great philosophical idea like Advaita Vedanta? Are we mistaking the correlation for causation? Are we taking the material basis of something for the one for whom it is designed? It's like saying the door is an amazing device. It's an amazing thing. All these people, 100 people, look, the door produced these 100 people. You observe the door, 100 people were produced by the door. After some time, the door will absorb the 100 people. No, the door is the entrance for these 100 people and the entrance, the exit for the 100 people. The door did not do anything else. Can the brain and the nervous system be a part of an instrument, not the producer of consciousness? All right, now let me become a little more philosophical. This is the fallacy of materialism. And this I'm borrowing from Bernardo Kastrup, who is a scientist and a philosopher. So in one of his books, he says, 4 steps to demonstrate the fallacy of this, turning the question inside out. That we exist, that I am conscious. Nobody has any doubt about it. Neither idealist nor materialist. I do not have any doubt that I'm conscious. You do not have any doubt that you're conscious. We all have no doubt that we are aware, we are conscious. And we are conscious of thoughts, feelings, emotions, objects, all of that. We are conscious being, each of us, we have no doubt about it. We can directly experience it now. Second, step number 2. Step number 2. Other beings, I am conscious, I have no doubt about it. You all are also conscious. I can take one step further. How? Are you experiencing their consciousness? Am I experiencing? No. But it's a very simple but subtle argument. How can I assume that you are all conscious? He says, we are going out on a limb here, little relaxing the logic. Once it has happened, one case of consciousness is there. Which one? I. That is, I'm sure of. I don't need any argument for that. I can experience. It has happened once. So it is in principle repeatable. And here are other beings like me, which I can observe. For me, you are all objects which I'm observing. But you are like me. So I find consciousness within myself. It is reasonable to think it is repeatable. You also have the same kind of consciousness. You also have consciousness. Second step. Here also no problem. Third step becomes more problematic. Second step, already we have relaxed the rigorousness of the argument a little bit. Third step, much more. Third step, I'm saying, the world which appears to me in consciousness exists independently of my consciousness. The world appears only in my consciousness. This is a crucial point. The people, the stars and moons and body and other people, where are they appearing? Where are they being experienced? Only in my consciousness. But I'm saying they exist apart from my consciousness. You say, no, but these things exist apart from consciousness. We are all experiencing it. You are experiencing it. This example I give, our senior most member is a physicist, Bill Conrad. He's 100 years old this year. Now, he says, Swami, it is not true that this room is in our consciousness. The room exists outside our consciousness. We have come into it, and in our consciousness, we are experiencing the room. And I can prove it to you. I will put a camera here, and then we will all leave the room. And then we will all come back. And then we will see the picture in the camera showing an empty room existing without any conscious beings. Room exists. And we as conscious beings come into it and experience the room. Not that the room depends on our consciousness. It is an independent. This is realism. Materialism, realism. I said to him, Bill, in your consciousness, you set up the camera. In your consciousness, we left all this, the room, all of us. In your consciousness, we came back into the room. In your consciousness, we saw the picture in the camera showing an empty room. At which point did you step outside your consciousness? Or can you, when you say billions of years ago, before the evolution of human beings or other higher animals, where was consciousness? This billions of years ago universe was there. This universe appears in our consciousness. The scale of time appears in our consciousness. Human beings itself, the evolution, all of it is experienced in our consciousness. The fact that at one time there was no consciousness, no human beings, all of that is a postulate, something that is coming in our consciousness. This world view is a worldview in consciousness. It is not possible, literally not possible, to step outside consciousness. To say there is a planet, there are planets, billions of light years, millions of light years away. No consciousness. It's not in your consciousness. It's existing independently outside your consciousness. This is also a statement in consciousness. Can any theory, can any religion, can any science, philosophy, experience, fact, can you posit it outside consciousness? It's unthinkable. Even to say something is outside consciousness is also a statement within consciousness. Swami, what are you saying? Outside there is a rock, under that rock, what is there? You don't know. I don't know. But that unknown thing is there as unknown in my consciousness. Where else is it? Where else have you experienced life except in consciousness? The fact that a vast universe exists entirely outside consciousness is also in consciousness. Let me give an example. Dream. When we go into a dream, we are not aware we are dreaming. We feel we are inhabiting a vast world. And only this part of the world I see in my dream. And I'm vaguely aware there is a Dallas outside and a Texas outside, and there is a world and a universe outside which I'm not seeing. But when I wake up from the dream, the known and the vast unknown, both will be in the dreamer's mind. The so-called, which seemed to be vast and unknown, was also an experience of the dreamer. The claim here is, if materialism says that this world exists outside consciousness, you can say that. It's of course a viable way of looking at it, and that's how people look at it. But you are going way beyond philosophically, rigorous logic, you are going way beyond. You are postulating something for which there is no proof, and there can be no proof. If you look at consciousness in the global way I'm talking about, if you think consciousness is that way, then there cannot be anything outside consciousness. All discourse, all life, all belief, non-belief, science, superstition, everything is within consciousness only. Where else is life experienced? So this is the third point, Bernardo Mess. You have forgotten. What were the first 2 points? I am conscious, no doubt about it. Step 1. Step 2, you are also all conscious. There little relaxation is given. Step 3, non-conscious entities are there existing outside consciousness. Big jump. And last, to complete materialism, those non-conscious entities which are existing outside consciousness are generating consciousness through things called brain and nervous system. It's a huge, huge jump. If you look at materialism this way, starting inside and going out, you can see it's also a very speculative kind of theory. Quickly responding to what Schumann had asked, I'll summarize in a couple of sentences. The question, what is the relationship between consciousness and its objects? The causal relationship. Indian philosophy has multiple answers to this. Bird's eye view in 1 or 2 sentences. You can have objects generating consciousness. One theory. Material universe generates consciousness. This theory is called materialism. The ancient Indian Charvakas had this theory. You, the conscious being, you are being generated by matter. Modern materialists will also say that. Scientists will also say that. Matter is generating consciousness. That's theory 1. Theory 2, opposite. Consciousness is generating, is producing this world. Who says it? People who believe in religion, theistic religion. Anybody who believes in a God, the common characteristic of God in all religion, God is the creator. And your God is definitely a conscious God, not an unconscious God. So consciousness is as God is the creator, producer of the object. Second theory, just the opposite. Consciousness produces the object. Third theory, neither produce the other. They are eternal realities, parallel and interacting with each other. Who says Sankhya? Sankhya, Prakriti Purusha. Consciousness is also there, material universe is also there. Entire material universe, as science talks about, is there. And consciousness is a fundamental reality, not produced by the material universe, not producing the material universe, parallel, interacting. How interacting? Us. We are the interactions, where material universe and consciousness interact, sentient beings. Fourth, as a sampling, you can take a Buddhist theory. The most sophisticated Buddhist theory, the Madhyamaka Buddhism, which says neither consciousness produces the universe, neither the universe objects produce consciousness, nor are they parallel realities interacting, but both are empty, both are not real. They arise and fall together. He gives the example, Chandrakirti gives the example of two sheaves, bales of hay, tied up and leaning against each other. Take out one, the other will fall. Deep sleep. They will attack us Advaitins on this. In deep sleep, there is no consciousness. When the world disappears, you, the perceiver of the world, also disappear. Subject and object fall together and rise together. So when you're asking consciousness and object, which one produces the other? The emptiness school will say neither, because neither is real. They depend on each other. Both are empty terms. But it appears. And finally, the Advaitic answer, our position is, the object is an appearance in consciousness, not produced by consciousness. It's an appearance in consciousness. Just as in your dream, you did not actually produce a world, you dreamt about a world. Similarly, consciousness experiences appearances. That's the explanation of this universe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Sampath Kumar. My question is, you said enlightenment is in mind.
Yes.
So is that an object to be experienced? What is enlightenment?
Certainly. Enlightenment, as in Vedanta, precise term is Brahmakara Vritti. The moment of realization that I am Brahman. It will be experienced. But Brahman itself is not an object of experience. The moment of enlightenment will be clearing up of the delusion that I am not Brahman. That will be cleared up and it will become obvious that I am, I was, I am, and always will be Brahman, which was not at all obvious to me earlier. That moment of transition is enlightenment. It's called Brahma-jnana or Tattva-jnana. It is a moment. It arises and disappears. But after it disappears, does not mean you'll become again unenlightened. I was enlightened for one moment. People may think that. I had that enlightenment experience of one. What about now? Now I just have the memory of that experience. No. The moment of experience will remove the ignorance forever. And then what will happen? When clouds are removed, the sun is shining. It was shining earlier. Now it is obviously shining. Similarly, I am Brahman. I was Brahman. I did not think so. I felt clearly that I am this body mind. Now I realize I am, I was, I am, also will be. Quite obviously. Not because of that experience anymore. It's an obvious fact. I don't need that enlightenment experience anymore. That enabled me to have this, to see this for the first time. And now I see it as an ever-present fact. Yes.
Thank you.
Sri Ramakrishna answered this. The question in Vedanta, there's a similar question to what Sampath Kumar asked. After enlightenment, the knowledge of Brahman, that I am Brahman, that knowledge stays or goes? If you say the knowledge stays, then there are two things, Brahman and the knowledge of Brahman. Shankaracharya says that's not true. Brahmaivaham natu brahmavit. I am Brahman, not the knower of Brahman. Enlightened person will not say, I am enlightened, I am the one who knows Brahman. No. I am Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna put it this way. He said, when the thorn of ignorance is in my flesh, the thorn of knowledge is brought, and you pick out the thorn of ignorance, then you don't carefully keep the thorn of knowledge in your flesh. You throw both away. Normally, that's not how we understand knowledge. We understand I was ignorant about it with great effort. I memorized the Gita. Now I'm holding on to my knowledge. You remember that story about the master who said, Wahi to yaad nahi rakhna hai. Don't hold on to I am Brahman. That's a mental activity. That's an intellectual activity. Don't hold on to that. If it works properly, it should reveal to you, you are the effortless Brahman. Conditionless, effortless Brahman. No need of holding on to anything. Then you can dismiss the thorn of knowledge, because the result of it is always there in front of you. Not in our day-to-day knowledge. Our school. What happened in school? I had the thorn of ignorance. My parents put me in school. With the thorn of knowledge, I removed the thorn of ignorance. And now, when Sri Ramakrishna told us to throw both away, I've thrown away that knowledge also. Then you have become ignorant again. This is a day-to-day level, worldly knowledge. Yes.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Vani. I'd like to follow up on a question about the existence of evil we talked last night. I accept the existence of it, so I'm less interested in the why and more interested in the what. So when we encounter evil or dark energy, what is the approach from Vedanta for us to be able to put it into perspective? So in essence, what do I do with it when I encounter evil?
Yes. First of all, help. Try to overcome the evil. To those who are suffering, could be you yourself, could be others. So help. As I said, the response to this question for me is the annual report of the the general report of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission. Not just our organization, all those all over the world who are trying to do something positive and helpful. That's the response to evil. Having said that, you can still say, okay, but that doesn't solve the problem of evil, because evil is still here. People have been trying to do good for ages. As I said, all the great ones, there is Christ and the Buddha and Thakur Ma Swamiji, they've all come and gone. At least physically they have gone. Has evil been removed? No. Great philanthropists, great kings and emperors, all of it, we have tried everything. Has it been removed? Can it even be removed? You can mitigate it. You can remove it. You can help. You can remove it in some spots. You can help some people to be a little better than what they were. Remove the immediate suffering, the hunger of somebody. We'll try to remove the hunger now. But it will come back again. So we must seek a deep solution to this. Then the question really arises, what is evil? You can think of it as a powerful force, a negative force, a Satan. It's deep within the American consciousness because of the Judeo-Christian background, a Satan, Shaitan. It comes from Christianity and Islam, not so much stressed in Judaism, but the source is similar. A dualism of good and evil, of right and wrong. Or in a Vedantic sense, evil is ignorance. Not knowing the reality leads to evil. So our effort must be to know the reality. What is it really? In the dualistic sense, our response should be to take the side of the light against the evil. So that was a very old idea, predating Judaism. It comes from Zoroastrianism. Ahura Mazda and Arhiman, light and darkness. Vedanta does not say that. Vedanta says the real problem is ignorance. Not only Vedanta, in fact, all the ancient Indian philosophies, Vedanta, Sankhya, Buddhism, Jainism, they say the core problem is ignorance. How they define the ignorance and how they define knowledge is different. But the core problem is always ignorance to be dissolved by knowledge. That's what we must try to acquire. So on one side, a practical struggle to overcome evil in our own lives and in the lives of those around us to the best that we can. Will we solve it? No. What's the use? If we can't solve it, spiritual use. Of course, there's a practical use. You will help some people at least. That's good. But there's what spiritual use is it if we can't solve it? As Vivekananda says, it straightens you out. It's not that you can straighten out the world. In your effort to straighten out the world, it straightens you out. We become straighter. See, the world is the dog's curly tail. It straightens it out, again the tail becomes curly. But in that effort, we become straightened, we become purified, our characters are built, we are ready for spirituality. That's our spiritual benefit. And the world benefits, you feed the hungry, you heal the sick, you educate the illiterate, you help those in distress and trauma and all of that.
We have one online question.
Yes.
This question is from Radhika from India. So once one realizes that he is the consciousness and so is everyone else, like food in a table, how does that person feel being one with consciousness? Does that person would feel like consciousness does? Or consciousness has no feeling, the person feels at peace?
Peace, of course. Peace and fulfillment. Once you realize what you are, feelings are always at the level of the mind. So what would the mind associated with this enlightened person? This was still a body-mind as long as the person is alive, Jivan Mukta. So that mind would feel tremendous, unshakable peace. Vidyaranya Swami, whom I referred to earlier in Panchadashi, he says, why is the enlightened one so full of joy? What do they have to be so happy about? So he says, because of three reasons. Kritakrityataya, praptabhya praptataya, jnatabhya jnatataya. He has the sense, the enlightened one has the sense of having done what is to be done in life. For what purpose life is, lifetimes after lifetime, what you have been striving, the deep sense of accomplishment of I have really done what life was meant for. Imagine the peace there, accomplished, it's done. I've realized God or I've become enlightened. Then second, praptabhya praptataya, I've really attained, got What has to be got in life, the most precious thing. Call it God, call it bhakti, call it self-realization, whatever your path is. But you have got the most precious thing which the universe has to offer. That which one has to acquire in life, you have acquired it. Hence, peace and joy. And finally, jnatavya jnatataya. What has to be known in life? The mystery of this universe is now solved for you from your perspective. You have known what has to be known, you have got what has to be got, and you have done what has to be done in life. Imagine the feeling of accomplishment and peace, joy. When I explained it like this once, a few years back, one young man said, sounds boring. There's nothing more to be done, so boring. Nothing more to be got, so boring. Nothing more to be known, so boring. No, not in that sense. In the world, there may be things to be done. But in a deep spiritual sense, deep philosophical sense, it is accomplished. And also, if you think that enlightened one will be bored, oh, it's all done. What's nothing more, no point in all of this. No, look at the lives of the enlightened ones. One thing was common to all of them. They were never bored. They're always very alive and full of life. Joy, energy, life. It's we who get bored. We get excited sometimes and bored at other times. They neither get excited nor bored. They're full of life and joy. Thank you.
I'll have Arden's.
Oh, yes.
I'll give you.
Yes.
You can sit in my chair,
All right.
or you can sit up here if you'd like.
Yes.